one king transformed a fledgling kingdom into a true empire. His name was Den, and under his rule, Egypt stopped simply surviving and started ruling. When King Jet died around 2980 BCE, the kingdom of Egypt was still young. It had been united by force under Narmer, but it wasn't yet unbreakable. It was powerful, but its systems were still experimental, held together more by tradition and personal authority than by structured law. The king who came before Den, Jet, had preserved this fragile union. But Den didn't inherit chaos. He inherited an immense responsibility. He had to prove that the throne of Egypt, the very idea of kingship, was stronger than any single person who sat upon it. He had to make the crown more powerful than the man. Den became king when he was just a boy. Because of his young age, his mother, Queen Mernith, stepped in to rule in his place. This was revolutionary. Mernith became the first woman we know of to rule Egypt as regent, wielding the power of a king. Her leadership was so significant that she was buried with full royal honors, a testament to her importance. This period of stability under Mernith allowed the young Den to grow and learn. And when he finally came of age and took full control, he brought with him a vision that would change Egypt forever. He would rule not just with power, but with order. Den was the first true pharaoh in the way we understand the title. He fundamentally changed how kings governed. He was the first ruler ever depicted wearing the shent, the famous double crown, which combined the white crown of Upper Egypt and the red crown of Lower Egypt into one. This wasn't just a new hat. It was a powerful symbol that the union of the two lands was complete and absolute. He also introduced formal royal titles that would be used for millennia, like the Nisit Baiti title, meaning King of Upper and Lower Egypt. This created a distinct and powerful pharaonic identity. He strengthened the systems of law, formalized taxation, and improved record-keeping, turning a loose collection of territories into a centrally managed state. Under Den, the king was no longer just a divine warrior. He was the head of a complex, organized bureaucracy. This was the birth of true state power in Egypt. But Den was not just an administrator. He was a warrior who understood that order must be enforced. An ivory label discovered from his reign contains one of the earliest known depictions of a pharaoh in the classic smiting pose, striking down a foreign enemy. This powerful image, which would be repeated by pharaohs for the next 3,000 years, announced to the world that the king of Egypt was the defender of divine order against chaos. He led military campaigns into the Sinai Peninsula and other border regions, securing trade routes and crushing any potential threats. Rebellions were put down with ruthless efficiency. Under Den, Egypt wasn't just united anymore. It was controlled. Even in death, Den's reign was a masterclass in structure and innovation. His tomb at the royal cemetery of Abydos was unlike anything that had come before it. It was the first royal tomb to feature a grand staircase leading down into the burial chamber, a design that would become standard for future royal burials, including, eventually, the pyramids. More impressively, the floor of his burial chamber was paved with red and black granite imported from Aswan, far to the south. This was the very first time in history that stone, particularly hard stone like granite, was used on such a large scale in Egyptian architecture. It was a massive logistical feat that showcased the state's incredible organizational power. His tomb complex was elaborate and well organized, reflecting the systematic approach he brought to his entire reign. Thanks to Den's long and stable rule, the first dynasty finally reached a point of security. The chaos of early succession struggles faded. The process of passing the crown from one king to the next became more predictable and institutionalized. Kingship was no longer just about the personal charisma or military might of one man. It was an institution, an office with established powers and responsibilities that transcended the individual. After Den, the idea of a powerful, centralized Egyptian state was no longer a question. It was a fact. He had built a system so robust that Egypt would never again return to the fragility of its earliest days. He proved that the throne could endure time, death, and change. Today, the name Den is rarely remembered by the general public. He doesn't have the fame of Tutankhamun or the grand monuments of Ramesses the Great. But everything that made ancient Egypt truly great, its sophisticated administration, its complex system of laws and titles, its concept of a divine king at the head of a structured state, all of it can be traced back to him. If Narmer created Egypt, and his successors protected it, then Den was the one who perfected it. He laid the administrative and ideological groundwork for all the glory that was to come. So why does this king from nearly 5,000 years ago still matter? Because Den wasn't flashy. He wasn't a figure of myth. He was the foundation. Without the organized, stable, and powerful state that he built, there would have been no old kingdom. There would be no pyramids at Giza, no great temples at Karnak, and no eternal Egypt to capture our imagination. The true power of Egypt wasn't just built with stone. It was built with systems, with order, and with a vision for a kingdom that could last forever. And that vision began with Den. If you enjoy these deep dives into the stories that built our world, make sure to like and subscribe. There are so many more hidden histories to uncover, showing that the real strength of ancient Egypt was forged long before the first pyramid ever touched the sky. Thanks for watching.